Good night, everyone. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I am here live to take your immigration questions. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments right now so that I can answer those questions, because that's why I'm here. I am here to answer your immigration questions. So if you are going through the immigration process, whatever it may be, whether it's a visa, green card process, if you're here without your papers and you want to ask a question about that, now is the time to do it. Take advantage of the next half an hour that I will be here. Hi there, Tanichi. Take advantage of the next half an hour that I'll be here answering questions. So as the questions come in, let me introduce myself. For those of you who don't know, I'm U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I help clients to get status in the United States, and that could include anything from the green card, mainly the green card, but also visas and other forms of statuses in the United States. So if you're going through the process, you're thinking about going through the process, you've gone through the process, then you can ask your immigration related question. Anything that you want to ask that's immigration related, you can ask it here and now. If you want to learn more about me, go to the link in my bio where you can see the contact information, and you will also be able to see my bio, information about the firm and the areas that the firm focuses on, and I as attorney focuses on. So keep your questions coming and I will go ahead and answer. So hi there, Rush. I see you. Hi, my friend wants to offer me some shares in her company and also offer me a management position. So is this related to the E2? So I'm thinking this is the E2 visa. So if you are the citizen of an E2 country and you, so E2 countries, how do I get to immigrate? So the first thing that came to mind, Rush OS, is the E2. Now, you may have other options that I don't know about, and so that's where the consultation would come in. But if you were now in the company, you would have to have at least 50% shares in the company, or you would have to have, if you were an essential employee, such as a manager, and you were essential to the function of the company, then that would be another way to get the E2. But basically the E2 is you have to be the citizen of an E2 country, so you check that one off. And you also have to show that you have substantial investment. So meaning substantial investment you have made, or you're currently making a substantial investment into the company, the business in the United States, or that you are the employee. So now, if you are making a substantial investment and you're doing it on behalf of the company, that you would still have to show that. The company itself would have to show what kind of money is being pumped into the company in the United States to make it happen. And it all depends. Now, whether or not you're making a substantial investment depends on the type of business, because you have to, while millions of dollars may not be required, and it just depends on the type of business. But if it is a business that does not take a lot of capital, then you have to have a substantial, if not the entire amount of the money necessary to make it run. So you'd have to show that in addition to your citizenship and 50% ownership of the business, or that you are that the business is an E2 business, so that is off the country. So the person, for example, that's giving you so if, say, you're not getting up to 50% shares, say you have under 50%, but this friend is in the United States, and the friend is the company is American, the friend is American. In that case, it would not be considered an E2 business. You would have to find another way. The business itself acquires the citizenship of the majority owner, and so it would be the 50% owner. So it's a bit there's a bit more involved. You want to, if this is something, now it sounds like you're really serious, Rush, schedule a consultation and then we can get to it. So I saw someone here say that they had a consultation. So Barbie Davis 365, you have a consultation. I cannot wait to speak with you. And Rush, I can't wait to speak with you. It sounds like you have some of you are in motion to get something going. So the next best thing you can do is get legal advice. So how long will it take if I marry someone with green card but eligible for citizenship in a few months? So, if you are here in the United States without status, you wouldn't qualify to do adjustment of status because you have to maintain legal status to be able to stay in the U.S. So, but however, if your green card holder spouse becomes a U.S. citizen and you came into the country with a visa and you have no other disqualifying issues in your background, then that would be one way that you could possibly stay and adjust status in the United States. So get legal advice, make sure you're going about everything right, make sure you're checking all the details to make sure you're on track. Kevala87, hi there. K-Baby766, thanks for the follow. So these are all great questions so far. Go ahead and schedule a consultation. So can a teacher apply for a green card or work permit? So teachers, I'm pretty sure an employer who wants to sponsor a teacher for some reason could possibly do so. There are employment-based green cards for positions like that, but it depends on your qualifications. Who is your employer? Now with the work permit, you will need to apply for some sort of benefit to be able to qualify for a work permit, because the function of the work permit is to get a work permit while the application is going through, and it has to be, you have to specially qualify. Can a nurse practitioner and her husband apply for a work permit for me if they want me to be there? So that could be a possibility, Stocky 95, but we would have to evaluate the specific needs of the nurse practitioner and her husband as the employers. What are their needs and what are your qualifications? What are your goals at the end of the day? Oh, and if they want me to be their babysitter. So once again, it just depends on what their needs are and what you would qualify for. So that definitely would require a consultation. So keep your questions coming. Thanks for those of you who are following. Coco, thank you for the follow. Gary Love, thanks for the follow. What are examples of E2 businesses? So it is very, very broad. It can be any business. So examples could be a company that specializes in tours in the United States. So a tourist-based company. It could be a technological startup. It could be basically anything, anything as long as you can show that you have a substantial investment. So it's very broad. There's no restrictions on the type of business. You just have to make sure that you show for the type of business that you are investing in the United States that you have the substantial funds to run a successful company. Saving the Children 2021, if you overstayed your visa and you are in the US, but your green card interview is in your country, what do you do? So you'd have to apply for a waiver to be able to leave the country and attend that interview. So I do a lot of videos on this because this is a very common thing. But what you can do is schedule a consultation and let's talk about it some more. Let's really evaluate your particular circumstances, because who knows, it may be different. For example, children who are under 18, they don't get flagged for unlawful presence and they don't necessarily need that waiver. But the best thing in your case, before you leave the country, don't leave the country without getting legal advice and guidance as to what you need to do. So if your sibling applying for you, how long will it take? A minimum 14 years. Hi there, Shari. It's nice to see you. So Miss Ting 4, if your sibling is filing for you, how long? At minimum 14 years. So what about security systems installation? Absolutely. That can definitely be a type of business that you're coming to establish in the United States. So SDK 868, give me a call and schedule a consultation. It could be any business that you want. You just have to meet the requirements. So just join. Can I have a quick breakdown about what the topic is? So I don't have a topic today. I am taking your questions. So anything that's immigration related that you want to ask, go ahead and ask. You are free to do that. Kevala, I have met my fiance online. She's a U.S. citizen. How can I see her? I have been turned down for a visa. So in cases where you're building a relationship, you would probably have to meet outside of the United States, and your U.S. citizen fiance would have to be the one more than likely to meet you. So you'd have to make those arrangements with her. Tug 1981, if my marriage ended before my 2-year green interview, what are my chances of getting a green card? So there it is now I don't know what situation you're in, Tug 1981, and that's where a consultation is super important, because that's where I can really dig deep and then advise you on your options. But what I can tell you is you definitely have options. Your marriage ended, if you got a divorce, and then you can prove that your marriage was real, despite the fact that it didn't work out, then you can still get that green card. If you are mistreated, you can still get the green card. If you have extreme hardships, if you could not renew your green card, that could possibly be a way to get your 10-year green card. The important thing is that you go ahead and get the help you need to apply without your spouse, because there are ways to do this. You just have to reach out, get the help you need to do it. Definitely don't, the worst thing you can do is not apply, but what you need to do is apply properly to get it done. So Laurel Diamond, thanks for sharing. I applied for my citizenship and want to marry an immigrant. How it affects my citizenship? So, I'd really have to talk to you about your situation. I don't know if you're concerned about a particular issue. And so I wouldn't be able to tell you how it's going to affect your citizenship without knowing all your facts. Generally speaking, marrying an immigrant is not going to affect you per se, but I don't know if there's something else you're concerned about, and if you are, definitely get legal advice. Can't stress that enough. I would love to apply for my green card. I have my visa from Trinidad. So having a visa from Trinidad is not going to qualify you for a green card. You'll have to qualify through an employer, through a family member, a qualifying family member, or through the diversity lottery. But you wouldn't. A visitor's visa alone is not going to get you there. But if you want to really explore your options, definitely get in touch with me. Give me a call. Carry the hair, Doc. Thank you for sharing the live. Okay, Sincerely Sue followed. So thank you for following. So the U.S. has so much opportunity, but it's hard to get permission to stay here and staying without papers. It's definitely it's a challenge, and that's why I do this, because there are solutions for people that they don't know about, and so that is where I focus on. I focus on areas that can help people get through with their papers despite their challenges. So how to get SDK? You can call 561-405-4889, schedule a consultation, or you can go to the link in my bio where you will see a contact form just for you to complete, and then the scheduling coordinator will get through to you the next day. So right now, if you call, you're going to get the after hours receptionist who will take your information, and then tomorrow the scheduling coordinator will get in touch with you. So C. Charlie, in case of an emergency, can you travel outside the US while you are just status? You have to make sure you get permission to do that. So don't leave the country without having that. So it's called like a travel document or advance parole to allow you to leave the country. If you leave the country without that, then you can face severe immigration consequences, and you will not be allowed back. So Rosalind Harris. So let's see. If a Jamaica has a student visa, can that person work? So generally speaking, students on F1 visas aren't usually allowed to work for the first year. And if they're going through exceptional hardships, and they absolutely need to work, they'll have to apply for that. And then there's also the option after the first academic year to apply for what's called OPT, but keep in mind that it's called pre-completion OPT. But keep in mind that every student after 1 year, after their years of study, they get a year of OPT. So post-completion OPT. And whatever you use in the pre-completion OPT after getting permission to work will subtract from that year. So it's, there are options. It's limited. So a student visa alone is not going to allow you to work. So what about baby born in the US and the parents are illegal? So this is a good question. It's a question I get very often. I even did a video on it that got thousands of views because it's such a common question. And the answer is a baby will not qualify parents to get status. But when the baby grows up to 21 or older, then that's when the baby turned son or daughter can apply for the parents. So J Focus 101. If I'm on a 6 months H-2B visa, would I get the E-2 in time before my visa expires? So great question. Now, if you transfer to E-2 status, now because of the lag in processing times, could never be guaranteed that you would get it before it expires. However, you would have to maintain legal status to be able to transfer over to another status. But keep in mind, here's what you need to know, is that if you transferred from an H-2B visa to an E-2 status, you would not be able to leave the country. If you left the country, you would have to go and apply at the embassy for the visa. Now, the thing about that is that if you do that, you're basically starting the visa application all over again. And if you start your business here, you're running it, everything is going good, and then you have to leave the country, you go to the embassy, and by some freakish reason, they decide at the embassy that you don't qualify for the E-2 visa, you will be stuck outside of the United States, and you would have left your business behind. So in a nutshell, it's always better to just go back to the embassy and get the visa there, the E-2 visa. So VAWA file, how long does that take? So it's about 2 to 2.5 years, but keep in mind it depends on what the underlying relationship is and how long it takes to get an immigrant visa number, because you still have to wait. But the good thing is with VAWA, no matter how long you have to wait, you are allowed to stay in the US and adjust status under the VAWA, so you don't have to leave to get the green card. So yes, Empress K31, I said a minimum of 14 years, minimum. So it takes a minimum. In some countries, in Mexico, it's taking 22 years. In the Caribbean, it's 14 years. So it is a long time. I'm sorry to break that news to you. It's definitely not a quick solution for a sibling, especially if the sibling is here in the US. Hi there, user 1513. It's nice to see you. Ricky Baby 19920, thanks for that. Slay Queen Mo, thanks for the follow. So I applied for my visa 3 times and got turned down when all I wanted to do was visit and shop. So Shanika 277, I'm so sorry to hear that. Usually the key to getting the visa is to show that you have strong ties in your country. And when you're young and you have very little, assets, or you haven't been in jobs very long, it can affect you negatively at the visa interview. Because what the officer wants to see is the officer wants to see property. The officer wants to see a mortgage. The officer wants to see strong family ties. The officer wants to see that you have commitments for the future that you have to return for. So I know your intentions are to visit, but the officers, you really have to convince them based on their standard. Slay Queen Mo, if I'm in Jamaica and want to do it for the USA. So Slay Queen, what was your question? I forgot what your question was. I'm just going really fast. So can you repeat your question? If someone is applying for a visa for the first time, what do they need to know, please? So show strong ties to your home country. Show property, show a mortgage, show that you have strong commitments in the future that you have to return to. Show that you have strong family ties in Jamaica, your kids, your spouse, your parents. So that is basically the key here, is to show that you are very established in Jamaica and you have to return to that. J Focus 101, if I'm in the US on a 6 months H-2B visa and start, so I answered this already, J Focus 101. So the cost, SDK, I'm not sure if you're, so the costs, I'm not sure. So with the cost, it's usually the same as the non-immigrant visa cost. And then, of course, you know, the cost of running the business and investing. Lacina 3, what about child born in the USA and parent illegal? So I went ahead and answered that. So having a baby alone is, unfortunately, it's not going to qualify you to get status in the United States generally. What you will need to do, if your U.S. citizen child is the only way that you'll qualify, you'd have to wait for them to get to 21 or up to qualify. Chemist 101, can a waiver be granted for misrepresentation of self? Yes, you'd have to have qualifying relatives. So you have to show with this misrepresentation waiver, you have to show that you have a green card holder or a U.S. citizen spouse or parent that will experience extreme hardships if you don't get the green card. And usually you have to be applying for a green card to get this waiver. And then if you're applying for just a visa, there's another type of waiver that you can apply for. But it is possible, you just have to qualify. And Chemist 101, it's an area I focus on. So go ahead, give me a call, schedule a consultation, and we can confirm whether you qualify. Shadow King 223, thanks for the follow. So what's the time frame from applying for citizenship and becoming a citizen? So I'd say the average right now is 6 months. I've seen it go as long as 12 months. I've seen it as short as 2.5 months. One of my cases that I just got finished with, 2.5 months. So that was great. But for my cases, it's 6 months. SDK 868, thanks for sharing. Chemist 101, is it possible to get a waiver? So I answered that. So thanks for the follow. Tayana 351, thanks for the follow. So keep your questions coming because that's why I'm here. Might as well take advantage of a U.S. immigration attorney being here for the next couple of minutes. So Lacina 3, a child alone will not qualify you. Your child would have to be 21 and up. So Shanika 277, what do I think the problem is? If the officer didn't tell you, then usually the problem is that you haven't convinced the officer that you will return to your country. I don't know which country it is, but that you will return. They're convinced, the officer is not convinced that you have strong enough ties to make your trip to the U.S. temporary. And so that could be the problem. So you have to strengthen your application. Rosalind Harris, thanks for the follow. So Janelli Royalty, I'm interested in a visiting visa with my daughter. How do I go about it? Or a work visa. So you'll have to apply through the embassy for a non-immigrant visiting visa, and you should attach strong evidence of your ties to your home country. So that's going to be show your property, show your job, show your commitments to the country, show your strong family ties. So that's a good start. I want to apply for my US visa. Where do I start? So same thing, Don Frado, as I just said. Alicia Akins, so like how I am married. Okay, I'm not sure what the question is. Can you just retype the question in a way that I'll understand? Amanda Black, thanks for the follow. Ashari, I didn't see the other part of your question. So Shanika, if I have catering company for Creole food as well, is it a registered business? Is that good for E2? So when it comes down to the nature of the business, I would really want to sit down with you in a consultation to be able to tell you. Now, generally speaking, there's no real limitation on the type of business. So it can be hospitality. It can be in real estate investment. It can be services, you know, any type of services, a hairdressing service. So it can be anything as long as you can show that you can successfully run it in the United States with enough financial backing. So that is where. But schedule a consultation and then we can go through your details. Where are you with investing in the company? What are your plans? What do you have? So that's that. Panda, is applying for student visa possible or worth doing during the pandemic? So a student visa, definitely that could be an option for you. So let me, what about a child living in America illegal from a baby? So it depends on when they came in, but they could possibly qualify for DACA. That could be something that you could be looking at. Hi, I'm in Curacao. Can I apply for a visa to live there? So it depends, Maria, on what you qualify for. So Nash Black Chocolate, I'm an oncologist, massage therapist, and reflexologist. Would love to operate a business. So it sounds like you would definitely be in a good position to start a business here. Nash Black Chocolate, give me a call. Let's talk more about your plans and see if it's viable and if you qualify for the E2. The first thing is you have to be the citizen of an E2 country. And also there's the investor's visa as well. The requirements for that is quite high. So the minimum is 900,000, and that's if you invest in a specific entity. However, if you apply in your own personal business, that's 1.8 million. The E2 can be a good balance because there is no set amount. I mean, you do have to show that you have a substantial amount in order to run the whatever business that you're going to operate. But let's talk more. SDK 868, does my business have to be registered first in my homeland? So you can start a business. So you can actually start a business in the United States, and it's what it comes down to is what your substantial investment is in the business in the US that you're investing in. So you don't necessarily have to have an existing business if you're expanding your business, or it could be good evidence of your current investment, the fact that you have money flowing in from another business or a business that you'd like to expand. So it could be good to support as evidence to support the visa application, but also you can start a business in the US. Kipling 96, I want to open an office in the USA to do business between USA and the Caribbean. Can I do that with? So absolutely, the E2 visa could possibly be a great solution for that. For example, if you have a touring business in the Caribbean and you want to market your business in the United States and you want to create an office in the United States, then guess what? That can be the basis of an E2. So definitely give me a call, schedule a consultation, and then we can talk more about how you're going to go ahead and achieve that E2 visa. Does that Panda is applying for a student visa possible or worth doing during this pandemic? So things are coming back to normal, getting back to normal. Schools are opening up, and they have made things a little more flexible for students who are here because of the pandemic. So you can always consider applying. It all depends on whether you qualify, have you been accepted to a university, and so forth. Shanika 277, you're welcome. Les 410, thanks for sharing the live. Pam Essentials, JA, thanks for the follow. Brittany 2480, thanks for the follow. User 376, thanks for the follow. That's that Panda. I see you've joined again. So keep those questions coming while I am here, because I am here to answer your immigration questions. So hang tight. I'm seeing some more questions. Hi 49 Drake. So hang tight while I get to them. So I'm outside the US and want to try H2B. How would I go about this? Find the employer first who's willing to sponsor you for that H2B. Hi Count 49 Drake. Hi there. My passport has less than 6 months. I'm applying for OPT. Will my petition be denied? So usually whenever they're going to stamp immigration benefit like a visa in your passport, you want to make sure that is valid for more than 6 months. So definitely go ahead and get it renewed. Now, under certain, exceptional circumstances, I've had clients who they still got their immigration benefit despite having a passport less than 6 months. But if you can, definitely go ahead and renew that passport before you get to the point where the petition is approved and they need your passport. Andreit, let me see, what's your other question? I didn't see the other part. Or should it be done if you are going to live to the States with your husband? So Andreita, I don't see the rest of your question. Can you please retype? You're welcome, SDK 868. So Hopi Pickney, I am married to a citizen who is twice my age. I'm an RN. He was married 3 times. What are my chances? So as long as it's true love, as long as your marriage is genuine, I would not be worried. But if you are worried, you want to make sure that you present your situation to the officer in an effective way. Schedule a consultation with me. We can go over the application requirements, what you need to do, and I can even represent you on it if you need me to. Lacina 3, what if you married a citizen and they have the same last name and not related? Well, if they're not related, you should be okay. Hi there, Dark Horse 45. I know that is a very big coincidence. The officer might just laugh about it, who knows? But it shouldn't affect anything as long as you're not related. So Ashari, I didn't see the rest of your question. So Kate's 98, would marrying an immigrant delay my citizenship application? It should not. Mariella Davina, thanks for the follow. Shanika, thanks for sharing the live. So was saying I have 6 kids ages from 20 to 3 years and in a job, if that can be a plus. So not the kids alone, unfortunately. You think having kids would be no, Ashari, I think this is a visitor's visa. So if it could be, definitely you would have strong ties, right? It shows that you have kids that you have to return to, and so that could be a strong evidence of your ties. But keep in mind, kids alone on your application is not going to be the deciding factor, but it could be a plus. So hang tight, those of you who ask your questions. I am getting to your questions. I would like some info on the video you post. So I think that may be the E2, and that is basically an investor's visa that allows certain citizens of E2 countries to come to the United States and establish a business here, as long as they can show they have a substantial investment. Keep in mind, substantial investment does not mean millions of dollars. It means that you have enough capital to run the business successfully, and you can show that. So Brittany, is there a way to have documentation to live and work if in a relationship but not married? So no, unfortunately, unless you apply for the fiancé visa, and you have to be outside of the United States to get that fiancé visa. Otherwise, you would have to apply as a married couple. Now, keep in mind, in some states, they recognize common law marriages. And if it's legal in the state to be, if you're married, if you're together for 5 years, living together for 5 years, you have children, that state may consider it common law. That may be acceptable in an immigration application. Rika Britt, so should I wait until I receive the new passport and submit both the old and new with my application? So Rika Britt, I don't know what your situation is, and I can't tell you specifically what to do. That is where a consultation would have to come in, because I can't tell you what to do unless I know exactly what you're applying for, what's your situation, what are the circumstances. Hopi Pickney, yes, we have been together 8 years, married 2 years, real marriage. So Hopi Pickney, you should be okay. You just have to bring that across in the application. Make a good presentation and at the interview. So the application, can't stress this enough. The most important aspects of the application process is the beginning, preparing the application. I've seen so many cases right now where they rushed the application for some reason, didn't attach the evidence, and then thought they could attend the interview and carry the evidence with them, and that only delayed their cases. So I'm finding a number of cases are going over 2 years that should have really been done in a year. They're going over 2 years because they didn't present the evidence in the beginning. So if you present good evidence, a good application at the beginning, and then you go to that interview and you knock the officer's socks off with your knowledge about your spouse, you know each other, the story that you have to tell, then you should have a successful application. So those two parts are very important. Make sure you prepare for that interview. Make sure you know your dates, your anniversary date, when you met. And here it sounds like you remember that you've been together for 8 years. How did you meet? What are your routines? So things like that. Make sure you prep for that interview. Just Richie Music, thanks for the follow. Bambi, are there any dates available for visiting visas right now? So you have to, it depends on the embassies. So some embassies are closed, some embassies are open, some embassies have long wait lists because they are trying to catch up. So you have to check on the US embassy in your country. 49 Drake, can you start a sponsorship app if you are not sure if the child is yours? So I would now schedule a consultation. Let's talk through that one, because I wouldn't be able to tell you whether to start. My instinct, which is not necessarily based on your particular facts, but just my instinct would be straighten that part out if you're not sure. And it depends, because in American law, if the child was born within the marriage, then the child is the persons, between the spouses. So it all depends on what the circumstances are. So it's hard to get you. Please let me know how best to reach you. So Kipling 96, go to the website. If right now the phone lines are really busy, go to the website The link is in my bio. Complete the contact form and the scheduling coordinator will get back to you. Mike Carros, how does one expand their business to the US? So and that depends on the type of business, the process. So to get established here, you'll want to establish your business, create a business account, create the entity that you want, create your tax documents. So that could be the beginning, but it all depends on what type of business that you have in order to determine what steps. Now, if you're talking about the E2 visa, then with the E2 visa, once you are invested in your business, you're showing that you have invested or you're currently investing in the business, then that would be the time to apply for the E2. So Lacina 3, what if you meet a US citizen with the same last name? Can we both get married? We're not related. So absolutely, there's nothing that says you can't marry a person with the same last name. Is it possible to apply for residency under labor through your employer? So yes, there are employment-based green cards, but it depends on whether you qualify. So not H2B E2. So J-Focus, I can't remember what your question was. So now with the E2, you will not be able to, I can't guarantee what the processing times would be and whether you would get the E2 in time before the H2B expires. I don't know if that's your question. So Sham 50 KZZ, I didn't see your question. So go ahead and retype, please. So Janelli Royalty, my name is on the mortgage. So if you're talking about a visitor's visa, that could possibly be a strong evidence of your ties. Do I go to the embassy with business plan and capital? So J-Focus 101, I can't tell you what you need to go with unless we talk about it first. So give me a call, schedule a consultation, and then we can talk about that. TikTok Mix 876, thanks for the follow. Hopi Pickney, you're welcome. Are there any dates available for a visiting visa right now? It depends on which embassy you're talking about. Go to the US Embassy's website in your country. You can Google it, and then you'll be able to find out what they're doing with the visitors' visas and appointments right now. So Renee Amos, registering a business in the US. So that would definitely be a part of showing that you qualify for the E2. But as far as the intricacies of this, we would definitely have to sit down in a consultation because it's quite intricate and complicated, and I would want to talk to you more in detail just based on the type of business. So Nota Rapper 96, and how do I prove relation? So there are different ways. Can my half-brother petition for me? So a half-brother can petition as long as you have one parent in common, and it's usually by showing the birth certificates. J-Focus is running off in the US worth it nowadays. So that is definitely something. There's definitely still opportunity here in the US. It just depends on whether you can find that opportunity. So Rush OS, is it possible to apply for residency through an employer? Absolutely, there are different ways, but there are so many different ways. It really depends on who your employer is and what your qualifications are. Just Richie Music, thanks for sharing. Registering a business in the US, Mike Carros. So registering a business in the US could be a part of showing your that you're currently investing. And what about a person who overstays their visa and doesn't have papers? Empress. I'm not sure where the rest of your question is. So is there anything for people who overstay and in this country for 20 years? So there still may be, but it depends on who are your relatives. Do you have relatives here? How did you get here? It just depends. There are different options. So for example, were you the victim of a crime? Were you the victim of trafficking? Were you married to a U.S. citizen or green card holder? Do you have a U.S. citizen son or daughter who's 21 and up who's refusing to apply for you, or they're mistreating you? These could be possible ways for you. Now, another way is cancellation of removal, but keep in mind that's done in an immigration court during deportation proceedings and someone who's been here, you haven't been convicted of any crime, you can show continuous presence in the United States for 10 years, that could possibly be a route to get green card. But nobody wants to be in the situation of getting to court and basically taking and basically has to use the last ditch effort to get a green card. But those are some of the ways. Renee Amos, registering a brand, for example, clothing, not expanding, just registering. So no, Renee Amos, that would not be enough. You have to actively be running the business in the United States. So registering or passively having a business or a business name in the US is not going to cut it. Now, if you were actively here running a store, so one of your stores, if you turned it into a franchise, you wanted to expand it to the United States, and then you had to come, you and your employees had to come to physically run the store here, that could be a basis for an E2. So user 1513, how can Caribbean people start a business in the USA? You post a video, I need some info, please. So if you want to start a business, you have the capital to do it, there are ways. But now you would have to look at that yourself to see, are you interested in running a business? Do you have the capital? Do you have the backing? Do you have a business in your country that you want to expand? So now is the time to start thinking about that. Once you do that, then it's going to take different methods. So I deal with the immigration leg of it. When it comes on to the business side of it, you definitely have to explore that yourself. So when it comes on to the strategy behind it, I can help with registering the business here and the legal aspects of it. But first, you have to come up with your strategies. What's your business plan? These are the things that would be on you to decide. So Janelli Royalty, thank you. I'm the one paying the mortgage, but it's my auntie's house. Okay, so now if you're on the mortgage, Janelli Royalty, then that could mean that you have ties. Now, if you're on the title, that would be a great thing to be on the title. So Geeta, my mom is a U.S. citizen. She sponsored me when I was under 18. Am I automatically a citizen? So you would have had to be under 18 when your mother became a U.S. citizen to get citizenship too. So if you got the green card after you turned 18, then that would not make you automatically become a citizen. Kim N, if you was to file for your kids, but then they were put on hold, what's the next step? So it depends on why they were put on hold. I would definitely need to speak with you. Hey, I'm from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Am I qualified? So Grenada qualifies, but no. So in this case, only Grenada. How to seek asylum. So Latina 3, if you are afraid of going to your home country and you're in the United States, you're afraid of returning to your home country, you could apply. I meant to say that my name is on the mortgage receipt, but it's my auntie's house. Can that help? So that may be a little iffy, because if you having the house itself would be great. Now showing the mortgage would be, it's a debt that you have to pay. However, it doesn't tie you down because you can always leave the mortgage and your aunt can pay. So it all depends. When it comes down to details like this, it's just best to schedule a consultation because it's so detailed, and I don't want to get too much into it with you because I'm not giving personal advice. I'm giving general information. So Janelli Royalty, you're welcome. My sister filed for me. How long does it take? A minimum of 14 years. Dark Horse 45. Thanks so much for sharing the live. Winston Harvey, thanks for the follow. Kate's 98. How long does it take for my citizenship application to be approved? It depends on where you are, where's the service center that's processing your case. and what's going on in your case. My cases right now, and I'm experiencing an average of 6 months. Chat King, thanks for the follow. So you're in Florida. So 6 months is the average that I've seen, but keep in mind that my cases cannot necessarily be indicative of what will happen in your case. It all depends. So thank you everyone for coming on. Can an undocumented have a business, any kind of business? Yes, undocumented individuals can have a business in the United States and pay taxes. I purchase raw materials in the US. I have a 10-year visa. Am I limited as to how often I can travel? So Kipling 96, the visitor's visa, if you have a 10-year, it really is up to how much time the officer is going to grant you. Kate 98, you're welcome. Renee Amos, registering a brand alone is not going to make you qualify for the E2. It has to be an active business. So thank you everyone. If you would like to schedule a consultation, go ahead, go to the link in my bio and you'll find the contact information. You can also go to the contact form, fill it out. If you're having a hard time, because sometimes the phone lines get busy, if you're having a hard time getting through, feel free to go to the website, go to the contact form. It's really easy. Fill out your name, your number, and the scheduling coordinator will call you right back and schedule your consultation with me. So have a good night, everyone. Thanks for joining in.